Welcome to this EPLAN presentation. Today we're going to look at creating a PLC rack layout with the I/O modules required in Studio 5000 Architect. Then we're going to export that rack layout into AML, and we're going to import that AML file into the EPLAN platform. And from that imported AML file, we're going to generate the basic I/O layouts. Let's begin with Studio 5000. Here I've got a project, Studio 5000 Architect. We're going to create a rack. So 1756, I'm going to select a chassis, an A4. Then of course I'm going to label it. Then I need a controller. So let's look at standardized controllers. I'm going to do an L74. Assign that to my rack. So the nice thing about Architect, it has validation rules, so you can make sure that it is always positioned in the right spot and you can't place it anywhere else. Then we're going to look at a digital I/O module like an IB16. Label it IB16, and we're going to take a digital output module, an OB16I. Now I need to assign the modules to the controller, so simply dragging and dropping the module on top of the controller assigns the modules to the controller. And then I'll do the same thing as well for my PLC output module. So now we've created a PLC rack layout with a 4-slot chassis, a controller, an input card, and an output card. Now let's export this file to AML. So file format AML. And I'm going to select from Architect. Now that I've exported this file, let's switch over to EPLAN. Now we're in EPLAN, we're going to go to our PLC module, import data, and import it from Studio 5000 in the Automation ML format. We're going to select that file that we've just exported, which is from Architect, and confirm. And the data is going to come in, so it imported 4 devices, 1 CPU. Now we have a configuration project, a station, we've got our PLC1, we've got our rack, we've got our controller, we've got our PLC input, and we got our PLC output. But now that I have the data inside of EPLAN, I'd like to create the preliminary schematics with the layout of those I/O cards. So to do so, I'm going to highlight my rack. I'm going to go to PLC Generate Schematics. And here we've got all of the cards, and we can assign the macros to these cards, and we can specify on which pages the multi-line is going to be created, the overview pages, and the rack layout. So instead of manually doing this, I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say calculate pages. So I need to highlight the entire row. Now I can say my multi-line representation is going to start on page 10, for example. My overview page or my overview macros are going to be on page 8. And my rack layout is going to be on page 7. Confirm with OK, and EPLAN now calculates the space required to position those macros on each page, and it's going to lay out the page numbers in each one of these columns. This helps the user to create the baseline for the PLC schematics without having to manually place the cards himself. Confirm with OK. I can save this configuration if I want to, or I can just say nope, just generate the project. So the macros are being placed, the pages are being created. And here we have it. On page 7, we've got our rack layout with the PLC chassis, the 3 cards. Here we've got our module overviews, so we can see the two cards, the input and the output card. And here we've got the schematics with the input card on one ladder and the output card on the second ladder. And there you have it, creating a hardware configuration in Studio 5000 Architect, exporting the data through AML, importing the AML file into EPLAN, and then generating the basic layout for your schematics. And once you start populating your IOs with sensors and actuators and all of the wiring diagrams and adding all of your descriptors and your tags, of course, you can take that same configuration. Now you can export it to AML and import it into Architect to then use that data for your programming environment. Well, thank you for watching, and hopefully you can use that and enjoy the benefits of EPLAN.